Hi, Kurt Weidner, Salvation-sponsored athlete, WNBF Pro bodybuilder. Today, I want to share with you a recipe that I've used for years. It's designed to be both a simplistic and convenient recipe that incorporates only 4 simple ingredients, which you have the ability to change and manipulate yourself. Okay? What we're going to make is an egg white oatmeal blueberry muffin. Okay? So, your 4 ingredients are oats, regular, just rolled oats. For this, I'm going to use the quick version. You can get regular rolled oats that are whole, or you can get the quick ones. These are just a little more cut up. For baking, they work a little better. Okay. We're also going to need some non-stick spray. Liquid egg whites. I'll just use the Kroger break-free liquid egg whites. For blueberries, I like to use the frozen wild blueberries. The reason being they're a little smaller, so it's easier to get them to mix in. You can see they're much smaller than the usual blueberries you get in the produce section, but really, whatever, you tend to prefer for yourself, there's really no difference nutritionally between either one. And then the last ingredient, which I'm actually not going to add when we make these, I add it after the fact when they're already made when I go to eat them, is the natural peanut butter. Now you don't have to use peanut butter. Peanut butter is the source of healthy fat in this case, but you could use almond butter if you wanted to. You could also add flaxseed meal to the muffins if you prefer to use that. So there's plenty of flexibility within this recipe. Okay? Okay, so let's get started. Step 1, we turn the oven on. And if you forget step 1, you're probably not going to be very pleased with the outcome. So let's get that one right. So we're going to put it on 350 degrees. I'm using convection. We're going to bake them for about 30 minutes. Step 2, make sure your supervisors are present. Let's introduce our supervisors here. This is Sadie. She is an inspector for quality control. Okay, and then this is Taylor, who's going to make sure that the job is done adequately and that I don't burn the house down in the process. So I'm going to go ahead and pay my supervisors off. Come here, girls. Sit. Sit. Okay, that's taken care of. Step 3, the process of making muffins can sometimes be a little intense, and so we want to make sure that we don't turn catabolic. For that reason, while I make these, I'm going to drink Salvation Extend. Make sure I get my branched chain amino acids in. Refreshing lemon lime flavor. Both delicious and nutritious. Okay, we're good to go. We're ready to get started here. So, what you're going to need, aside from the ingredients I mentioned, are these disposable aluminum pot pie tins. You can get these at Kroger, which is the grocery store we have here in Blacksburg. You can get packs of 5 or 6 of them for a couple bucks. If, depending on the amount of ingredients that you need, if you're somebody bigger who needs to have a larger amount of macronutrients for the muffins, these, which are mini loaf tins, tend to be a little bigger, will hold slightly more ingredients. Or the other option is just to make 2 muffins for 1 serving. But for this, we're actually going to be able to just barely get what we want in 1 muffin. Now, let's take a look. I wrote out the ingredients and amounts that we're going to be using for this particular formula. The 3/4 of a cup of oats, which is about 40 grams of carbs. We're going to do a whole cup of liquid egg whites, getting 25 grams of protein from that. We're going to do 70 grams of blueberries. And what you'll notice about the blueberries is that the weight amount tends to be different than the volume amount. I pre-weighed to determine that 70 grams actually comes out to be half a cup, while that's actually different than what's written on the container. And then when these are already cooked and I go to eat them, I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of peanut butter, which weight is 16 grams. So the totals here, we're looking in the vicinity of 40 grams of protein, a little over 50 grams of carbs, and 12 grams of fat. I'm right now in my off season, and this is the appropriate amount of macronutrients that I'm requiring for myself for my first meal of the day. Okay? So, attention back over here. We have a cooking tray. We have 6 of these, which will get me through this next week. First thing I want to do, put some, just a hint of non-stick spray on each one to make sure that they come out of the pan easily when they're done cooking. The next thing we're going to do is add the oats. Okay, now, depending on the level of precision that you want to use, if I was in a contest prep mode right now, I would actually place each one of these on the scale, zero it, add the oats, make sure that I'm getting the exact amount. So if we're doing 3/4 of a cup, that would be 60 grams of weight. Prior to making the video, I actually checked, and the half cup of oats is actually exactly 40 grams. So it can be ballpark right now, like I said, since I'm off season. So we're going to go ahead and put 3/4 in each one. Okay. Now the other thing that I like to throw in here is a little bit of ground cinnamon. Why? Well, cinnamon will pretty much make anything taste and smell good. So you don't have to put that in there, but hey, why not? Just a little hint of that, give it some flavor. Alright, now we're going to add the blueberries next. And again, like I said, if you weigh it, the goal is 70 grams. A half cup is just about exactly 70 grams. Now, if I was in a contest prep mode, like I said before, I would actually weigh every single one separately to make sure that I'm getting the exact amount. But for right now, ballpark is fine. So I'm going to use the smaller one and put a 1/4 cup in here twice. Okay. Now the last ingredient that we're going to put in is the actual liquid egg whites. So we're adding 1 cup, which provides the bulk of the protein for this meal. And I would strongly suggest using the liquid egg whites that come in the carton, because if you've ever tried to bake with real egg whites that you separated yourself, you realize that it doesn't work too well. The real egg whites will actually separate completely from the rest of the ingredients, and you get something that isn't very palatable. The liquid egg whites, when used for baking, provide a much more homogeneous texture. One more. And that is all the preparation that's required. The only thing you have to do now is put them in the oven, and they'll bake for about 30 minutes. And just take them out, and then when you're done, you can either put them in Ziploc bags or containers, and you have your breakfast made for the rest of the week, or meals if you're going to travel to go. Just to show you what the finished product looks like, this is one that I made last night as a sample. And the cinnamon's kind of on top of it, so it didn't really mix in with everything else. Now, you can manipulate the ingredients as you want. You don't have to use blueberries. I've actually altered the formula before. I've used dates, I've used prunes, I've actually made them without any fruit at all. So And also, depending on your size and your requirements for macronutrients, you can manipulate the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fat in these muffins. So, you know, if you're a 120-pound female, this probably isn't going to be the appropriate amount of macronutrients, so you can, you know, just use less of each ingredient or change the ingredients a little bit as needed. That's pretty much it. So there's a very simple recipe that hopefully can come in helpful for you.